We've been taught to chase sparks, to crave that lightning bolt feeling when we meet someone new, to believe that the flutter in our chest, the thrill in our gut, the rush of attraction, that is love. That's how it starts, right? The heart races, palms sweat, and suddenly you can't stop thinking about them. We've come to believe that's the sign we've found something real, but no one ever told you the truth about chemistry. No one told you that the person who gives you butterflies may also be the one who breaks your heart. No one told you that emotional safety matters more than emotional highs. And it's not because we're naive, it's because our culture glorifies the thrill of falling in love far more than it teaches us how to stay in love, how to feel safe in love. There's a kind of love that feels like adrenaline, but there's also a kind of love that feels like coming home. And most of us spend our lives chasing the former, never realizing that it's the latter that makes life better. That excitement, that spark, it can be addicting. But if we're not careful, we start confusing chemistry with compatibility. We meet someone who's charming, mysterious, or unpredictable, and we think, this must be it. This intensity must mean something. But what if that intensity is just your nervous system screaming for stability? What if that spark is the symptom of an emotional roller coaster, not a sign of real connection? Because here's what no one told you: the people who stir up your anxiety are not the same as the people who stir up your soul. Love should not make you anxious. You should not be lying awake at night wondering if they'll text, if they care, if you're enough. That's not passion, that's survival mode, and you deserve better than that. Emotional safety doesn't mean things are always easy. It doesn't mean you won't disagree or have tough conversations. But it does mean you never question your worth inside the relationship. It means you feel free to express your needs without fear of being punished, ignored, or abandoned. It means you're not tiptoeing around someone's moods, waiting for them to finally treat you the way you hoped they would from the beginning. It means you are not just wanted, you are safe, and that changes everything, because emotional safety is the soil where deep love can grow. Without it, everything else, trust, vulnerability, connection, it all dies. You can't open your heart in a place that doesn't feel safe. You can't be soft when you feel like you're always under threat. And isn't that what love is supposed to allow you to be? Soft, open, yourself. Too often we trade safety for chemistry. We chase the one who keeps us guessing instead of the one who keeps showing up. We think consistency is boring because we've been conditioned to associate love with drama. But chaos isn't love, it's just chaos. And stability isn't dull, it's the doorway to the kind of relationship that actually nourishes your soul instead of draining it. Think about the people who have truly made you feel at peace in your life. Not excited, not flustered, not obsessed, safe, the ones who heard your silence and leaned in closer, the ones who held space when you were messy, the ones who didn't punish you for being human. That's what safety looks like. And it's far more rare, far more beautiful than any spark you've ever chased. See, sparks fade, the newness wears off, the infatuation quiets down, and when it does, what are you left with? If you don't have emotional safety, you'll be left with uncertainty, with mistrust, with walls. But if you do have emotional safety, you'll find that love deepens, intimacy flourishes, vulnerability becomes a gift, not a risk, and that's when you know you're in something real. But emotional safety doesn't just come from the other person. It also comes from you, from your ability to identify what makes you feel safe, and what doesn't. From your courage to walk away from what feels good in the moment, but costs you your peace in the long run. From your willingness to wait for a love that doesn't just excite you, but supports you. So the next time you meet someone and your heart starts racing, pause, breathe, and ask yourself not just, do I want them, but do I feel safe with them? Do I feel calm around them? Do I feel respected, valued, and emotionally held? Because that feeling, calm, grounded, true, isn't boring, it's everything. And when you finally meet someone who brings both, the spark and the safety, that's not just love. That's alignment, and that's worth everything. We don't talk about this enough. How attraction can lie to you. How that rush of desire, that pull towards someone, that magnetic energy we feel when they walk into a room can be real. But dangerously misleading. No one ever told you that you could feel drawn to someone and still be completely incompatible. That you could crave someone's presence, laugh at their jokes, stay up all night talking to them, and still not be able to build a life together. Because attraction is powerful, yes, but it is not enough. Attraction is the spark, it's the music, it's the feeling that keeps you interested in the beginning, but alignment is the compass. It's what tells you whether you're heading in the same direction, whether your souls speak the same language, whether your life values truly match, and if the compass is broken, the spark will eventually burn out. That's the part no one talks about. We're conditioned to fall for potential, for charisma, for chemistry. We see someone and we're pulled in. We find ourselves thinking about them non-stop. They say the right things. They show up just enough to keep us hooked. But what we don't realize is this: emotional alignment isn't loud. It doesn't always come wrapped in excitement. It comes in stillness, in truth. In the quiet recognition that your values, your goals, your emotional needs, they all point in the same direction. You can fall deeply for someone who is completely misaligned with the life you want. You can love someone who doesn't want the same kind of commitment. You can build chemistry with someone who doesn't share your vision for the future. And if you've ever wondered how a relationship that started so strong fell apart so fast, this might be the reason. Attraction pulled you in, but misalignment pulled you apart. The worst part is that we ignore the signs. We tell ourselves, but I really like them. We cling to how they make us feel instead of asking whether we're actually compatible. We confuse intensity with depth. We believe that if we just give it more time, more love, more patience, maybe they'll change, maybe they'll catch up, maybe they'll meet us where we are. But here's the truth: love cannot fix misalignment. It cannot force two lives to merge when they were never meant to be on the same road. You can love someone who isn't ready, who doesn't communicate, who wants a different lifestyle, a different pace, a different kind of relationship. And when that happens, you're left torn between what your heart feels and what your soul needs. That conflict, that tension, is where so many people lose themselves. You start bending, shrinking, compromising your standards, not out of weakness, but out of hope. Because when you're attracted to someone, you want it to work. But you have to ask yourself, do they actually fit into the life I'm building, or am I trying to force them into a space they were never shaped to fit? Alignment means more than shared hobbies or inside jokes. It means your core values are compatible. It means you both know what love looks like and how it should be expressed. It means you communicate with mutual respect. You listen with intent. You grow in the same direction. It doesn't mean you're identical, but it does mean that your differences don't tear you apart. They complement each other. It's easy to stay with someone when the chemistry is high. But real love requires more than adrenaline. It requires shared vision, shared effort, mutual accountability. You're not just building a connection, you're building a future. And if you're not aligned, the relationship will ask you to sacrifice parts of yourself you should never have to give up. Sometimes the most painful decision is the most loving one. Choosing to walk away from someone you care about because you finally see that you're not aligned. Because you've realized that love isn't just about how much you feel, it's about how well you function together. Love isn't sustainable when it costs you your peace, your values, or your long-term happiness. It's not your job to convince someone to align with you. It's your job to get so clear about who you are, what you need, and where you're going, that the wrong ones naturally fall away. Attraction gets you through the door. Alignment is what keeps the door open without force. When you have both, when that magnetic energy is matched by emotional maturity, shared values, and true compatibility, that's when you've found something worth holding on to. So stop asking, do I like them? Start asking, do we align? Stop getting lost in how good it feels in the moment and start asking how good it will feel long term. Do they support your growth? Do they communicate when it's hard? Do they hold space for your truth, your dreams, your emotions? Or do you constantly feel like you have to shrink to make the relationship work? You deserve more than a spark. You deserve someone who walks beside you, not someone who pulls you off your path. Because at the end of the day, attraction will make your heart race, but alignment is what makes your heart rest. There's a hard truth that most people don't want to hear, but once you understand it, it changes everything about the way you do relationships. You teach people how to treat you. Not by what you say, but by what you allow, by what you tolerate, by what you keep showing up for even when it breaks your heart. You show them with every silent moment, every ignored red flag, every time you accept crumbs and call it a feast. We think people will suddenly start treating us better if they see how good we are, how patient we are, how much we're willing to forgive, but that's not how people learn. People learn by watching what you accept. And here's the uncomfortable part. If someone disrespects you once, that's on them. But if they keep doing it, that's on you. Not because you deserve it, but because you've shown them there are no real consequences for crossing the line. You've trained them to believe they can have the benefits of you without the responsibility of treating you right. And that becomes the pattern, not because you're weak, but because you hoped they would change. You hoped love would wake them up. You hoped that being good to them would teach them how to be good to you. But love doesn't work like that. You cannot love someone into respecting you. You cannot stay silent and expect them to read your mind. You cannot keep absorbing hurt and expect that one day they'll wake up and say, wow, I should really stop treating them like this. That moment almost never comes because people get used to your silence. They get used to the version of you that accepts the bare minimum. They get used to taking from you without ever thinking about what it costs you. And here's the even deeper truth. Teaching people how to treat you doesn't start with them. It starts with how you treat you, the way you speak to yourself, the boundaries you hold, the self-respect you either enforce or abandon. If you're constantly giving out love without giving any to yourself, you're teaching the world that your needs don't matter. And the wrong people will take advantage of that every single time. You don't set standards by telling people what you expect. You set them by walking away when those expectations aren't met. You show someone your worth not by begging them to recognize it, but by refusing to let them lower it. You teach them by saying, I don't accept this, and meaning it, not just once, not just when it's convenient, but every single time your peace is being sacrificed. And I know it's hard, especially when you care about someone. Especially when your heart says, but maybe they didn't mean it, or maybe I'm asking for too much. But love without boundaries isn't love, it's self-abandonment, and no healthy relationship is built on you abandoning yourself just to make it work. Some of the most powerful moments in your life will be the ones where you stop explaining, stop chasing, stop justifying, and just decide that you deserve better. You draw the line, not out of anger, not to punish, but because you finally realized that peace isn't a luxury. It's your standard, and the people who truly care about you, they won't fight your boundaries. They'll respect them because they're not in your life to control you. They're in your life to love you, and real love honors the lines you draw. But there's something else to understand. When you raise your standards, when you finally start enforcing your worth, you're going to lose people. The ones who were only there for what you could give, not for who you are. And yes, it's painful, but it's also cleansing, because every time you say no to what doesn't honor you, you make room for what does. You create space for people who speak your emotional language, who show up, who don't just say they love you, they prove it in how they treat you, especially when it's hard. You have to ask yourself, what am I teaching people by what I tolerate? Am I showing them that I can be ignored, manipulated, undervalued? Or am I showing them that I know exactly who I am and what I deserve? You don't have to be cruel. You don't have to scream or make a scene. You just have to choose you, quietly, consistently, with love. And when you do, something shifts. The people around you either rise to meet you, or they walk away, and either outcome is a blessing. Because your life is too precious to be spent convincing someone to treat you right. You weren't put here to chase people into loving you properly. You were born worthy, and when you finally believe that, everything changes. You stop accepting half-hearted love. You stop explaining your value. You stop settling, so yes, you teach people how to treat you, not once, not loudly, but daily, in every decision, in every yes and every no, and the moment you start honoring yourself, you'll be amazed how quickly the world around you follows your lead. Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood ideas in modern love, the difference between being chosen and being cherished. Because the truth is, just because someone picks you doesn't mean they know how to value you. Just because they say, "You're the one I want," doesn't mean they know how to show up for you. See, so many people are walking around with this quiet ache inside them because they finally got chosen, but they still don't feel loved. They're in the relationship, they wear the label, they've got the title, but deep down they still feel alone, unseen, unmet, and they're wondering why, wondering what's wrong with them, wondering why being chosen didn't solve everything they thought it would. And here's the answer, the truth no one tells you. Being chosen is a moment. Being cherished is a pattern. Being chosen can happen in a text, in a decision, in someone asking you out, or even proposing marriage. It's a moment of decision, but being cherished. That happens in the details. That's a rhythm, a way of being. A person choosing you every day, not just when it's convenient, not just when they're lonely, not just when you're useful to them, but consistently, intentionally, with care. A lot of people will choose you because it's easy, because you're there, because you're loyal, because they know you'll say yes. But not all of them will cherish you. Not all of them will protect your heart like it's fragile and valuable. Not all of them will listen when you speak, adjust when you express a need, or honor you when no one is watching. And it's subtle at first. The slow shift from feeling special to feeling tolerated, the way your excitement starts to shrink, the way you start telling yourself, well, at least I'm not alone, even though you feel more alone in the relationship than you ever did by yourself. That's the difference between being chosen and being cherished, because cherished people don't feel like they have to beg for love. Cherished people don't feel like they're a burden for having feelings. Cherished people don't feel like they're fighting for a place in someone's life. They already have it. It's clear, it's steady, it's safe. When you're cherished, you're not an option, you're a priority. You're not an afterthought, you're a part of the plan. You don't have to wonder where you stand, because their actions tell you louder than their words ever could. But when you're only chosen, without being cherished, you'll start shrinking just to stay. You'll start making excuses for why they forgot your needs again. You'll convince yourself that they're just not expressive, or going through something, even though deep down you know what it really feels like, abandonment wearing the mask of love. You deserve more than to be selected. You deserve to be celebrated, not like a trophy someone puts on the shelf and then forgets, but like a living, breathing human being whose heart matters. And listen, this isn't about asking for perfection. It's not about expecting someone to be romantic 24/7 or to read your mind. It's about the energy behind their actions. It's about whether they're invested, whether they see you, really see you, and care enough to show up when it counts. Because here's the thing, anyone can say, "I love you," but not everyone knows how to love you. And when someone truly cherishes you, they don't just love the idea of you, they love the real you, the one with fears, the one with flaws, the one who sometimes needs reassurance or has moments of insecurity. They don't shame you for being human. They don't weaponize your vulnerability, they hold it with tenderness, with care. And if they don't, if you're constantly questioning your place, if you feel like you have to perform or prove yourself just to be worthy of their attention, that's not love, that's survival. That's a relationship that feeds on your silence and shrinks under the weight of your truth. So if you're in a relationship right now where you were chosen but you don't feel cherished, don't ignore that feeling. Don't gaslight yourself into thinking you're asking for too much. You're not. You're asking for what's right, what's healthy, what's sustainable. And if you're still waiting for love, don't settle for someone who just picks you. Wait for the one who cherishes you. Wait for the one who looks at your heart and says, "This is sacred," and treats it like that every single day, not just when it's easy, not just when it benefits them, but even when it's inconvenient, even when it's hard, because love that lasts isn't built on being chosen once. It's built on being chosen consistently and being treated with deep, unwavering care. That's what cherishing looks like. Love was never meant to feel like a cage. It was never meant to feel like you had to become less of yourself just to be more lovable. But too many people are caught in a version of love where they're constantly shrinking, quieting their voice, toning down their passions, walking on eggshells, dimming their light, not because they want to, but because somewhere along the way they learned that being small is the only way to stay close to someone who can't handle their fullness. But real love expands you. It invites you to rise. It challenges you to grow, not out of fear, not because you're too much, but because someone sees your potential and wants to walk with you into it. Real love makes room for your past, room for your dreams, room for your voice, your softness, your strength, your mess. Real love doesn't ask you to shrink. It celebrates your expansion. You see, there's a version of love out there that looks like love but feels like loss. Loss of freedom, loss of identity, loss of self. It's the kind where you start giving so much that you forget what you needed in the first place. You give up your friendships, your hobbies, your boundaries, your sense of self, all in the name of compromise. And then one day you wake up and realize you're still in a relationship, but you've completely disappeared inside it. That's not love. That's emotional suffocation. You were not created to contort yourself into who someone else wants you to be. You were not built to play small so that someone else can feel big. And you certainly weren't made to lose yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. The right person will never be intimidated by your light. They'll be inspired by it. They won't try to put a lid on your energy, your ambition, your fire. They'll fuel it, because real love doesn't compete. It collaborates, it encourages, it says, how can I support who you're becoming? Not how can I contain who you already are? But it's hard, isn't it? Because many of us were conditioned to believe that love has to cost us something, that if it's not painful, it's not real, that if we're not sacrificing a piece of ourselves, we must not be giving enough. And so we keep shrinking, we keep editing ourselves, we say less, ask for less, expect less, hoping that if we just become easy enough, small enough, low maintenance enough, they'll finally love us right. But here's the truth no one told you. The more you shrink, the harder it is to breathe, the harder it is to recognize yourself in the mirror, the harder it is to feel seen and known, because you're not even bringing you to the table anymore. The right love will never ask you to disappear. The right person will fall in love with your wholeness, not just the parts that are convenient, not just the pieces that fit neatly into their life. They will love your complexity. Your quirks, your power, your softness, your independence, your dreams. They'll love how loud you can laugh, how deeply you feel, how boldly you speak up for what matters, and they won't be threatened by your growth. They'll be proud of it. So ask yourself, is the relationship I'm in helping me grow, or is it keeping me small? Am I allowed to dream out loud? Am I encouraged to take up space, to express what I need, to explore who I want to become? Or do I feel like I'm constantly editing myself just to keep the peace? Because love isn't supposed to be the thing that holds you back. It's supposed to be the wind at your back, the support system you come home to. The safe place where your voice is heard, your ideas are honored, and your journey is celebrated, even when it looks different from theirs. And here's the wild thing: when you choose love that expands you, your whole life expands. Your confidence grows, your energy rises, your vision gets clearer. You stop looking for validation in the wrong places because you already feel grounded where you are. That kind of love doesn't just make you feel good. It makes you feel free. It becomes a platform for your purpose, not a prison for your potential. So don't settle for love that clips your wings. Don't give your heart to people who only love the watered-down version of you. You weren't made to be tolerable. You were made to be unforgettable. You weren't made to be quiet. You were made to be heard. You weren't made to be half-loved. You were made to be fully cherished. Love should elevate your soul, not silence it. It should call you into more, not keep you stuck in less. It should feel like expansion, not confinement, like truth, not performance. And when you find that kind of love, you'll know, because you won't feel like you're constantly working to earn your place. You'll simply feel home. The best relationship advice no one ever told you, written in a motivational, emotionally grounded style, perfect for a cinematic voiceover and deeply resonant finish on your YouTube automation channel. So here it is, the truth that no one ever told you, the truth that was never written in fairy tales or stitched into love songs. The best relationships aren't the ones that look perfect on paper. They're not the ones that start with butterflies or fireworks. They're the ones built on emotional safety, not just chemistry. The ones where attraction meets alignment and shared values mean more than shared playlists. They're the ones where you don't have to convince someone to treat you right because you already taught them how by the way you love yourself. The best relationships aren't about being chosen once, they're about being cherished every day. Not with grand gestures, but with quiet consistency, with presence, with care, with someone who listens to the version of you that isn't always smiling, who loves you on the days you're hard to love, and who never makes you question your worth. And above all, the best relationships expand you. They don't ask you to shrink. They don't clip your wings to keep you close. They hand you the sky and say, "Fly anyway. I'll be here cheering you on." So if you're still waiting for that kind of love, don't settle. Don't stay in something small just because it feels familiar. Don't quiet your voice just to keep the peace. Don't confuse being chosen with being seen. And don't ever believe that you have to lose yourself in love just to keep someone else from leaving. Because the best love, the kind that lasts, the kind that heals, the kind that feels like home, it doesn't ask you to become someone else. It asks you to become more of who you already are, and that is the kind of love you were always meant to have.